She ignited her jump jets, and her 95-ton Shrike roared upward toward the Black Hawk. She dropped down hard, and her massive claw-like footpads tore into its right side and arm with such force that the arm ripped away entirely. Carefully aiming her PPCs, she blasted the cockpit of the Republic mech, punching through the torso and the armored cockpit's ferroglass. The Black Hawk went limp. Of all the new Clan Jade Falcon battlemechs, the Shrike has ended up being one of the most feared. Not necessarily due to its loadout or even its appearance, though both are quite intimidating, but due to the connection to the most infamous Jade Falcon of all time, Malvina Hazen. Since her shadow casts heavy, I want to make sure that this video focuses on the mech itself, even if the future for it may be cast into doubt as we move into the Ilclan era, where its use may carry certain unpalatable connotations. First produced in 3113, the Shrike is an evolution of a previous battlemech called the Onager, which was a 90-ton battlemech created following the Word of Blake years. Red Devil Industries was seeking to produce a low-cost, easily maintained assault mech that could be deployed to second-line forces. Sure enough, when deployed against pirates and other less than stellar threats, the Onager performed well. Though hardly a trial by fire, it was a successful design which took advantage of the clan's hyper-assault Gauss technology. At the time, with so many, including the Jade Falcons, weakened from the chaos of prolonged conflict, any mech was appreciated. A clan tech mech even more so. Still, by the dawn of the 32nd century, it was clear that there would need to be something new to replace the Onager and the Jade Falcon Tumen. This time, it would be a mech that could serve in the front lines of major conflicts that were sure to come if Clan Jade Falcon was to make headway in the Inner Sphere. The Eagle Craft Group, a manufacturer located on Erewhon and on orbital production facilities, stepped up with their updated design. It differed so significantly from the Onager that it was clear that this mech was going to need a new name. That name, the Shrike, is a reference to an old Terran species of bird that was known for its sleek form, hooked beak, and tendency to impale its captured prey onto sharpened objects like thorns or branches. Scientists believe this served the dual purpose of storing unconsumed food for later and for showing off to potential mates. The Shrike is territorial and will defend their area fiercely. If that doesn't sound like a bird the Jade Falcons would respect, I don't know what bird would. Weighing in at 95 tons, the Shrike was intended to send a message. While perhaps not as garishly a totem mech as some of the other Clan Jade Falcon mechs of the Dark Age, the beaked cockpit, the partial wing, and clawed limbs are a giveaway. It's very subtle, but if you squint really hard, you might see them. Constructed around a DSAM Endosteel 4 framework and an Olivetti 380XL engine, the Shrike was often described as speedy, though don't get excited because it's really only speedy for a 95-ton battlemech. The top speed of 64 km per hour meant it could keep up with some heavies, but definitely not clan heavies, which tend to be even faster than that. The Shrike was also equipped with Grand Thrust Mark V jump jets along with a partial wing which could carry the assault mech up to 120 meters in a leap. A more accurate description for the mech would be agile, since it can jump almost as far as it can run in a turn. The jump jets, partial wing, and the reinforcing of the legs fit well with the Clan Jade Falcon aggressive attitude under Con Malvina Hazen. The days of clan warriors being wary of physical combat were long over, and the battle reports are full of commentary on positions overrun by Falcon mechs that plowed into their enemies and kept going in their chaotic Mongol doctrine style. The 15 tons of Forging ZM-15 ferrofibrous armor provides 288 points of armor protection, which is the equivalent of a Turkina's 18 tons of standard armor. The Raptor XT Type 3 communication system and Goshawk E-Series targeting and tracking system were chosen as part of the plan to make a mech that would excel at command and control over the battlefield. The addition of 12 laser heat sinks left enough space for 32.5 tons of weaponry. This might seem low for a 95-ton mech, but the jump jets and partial wing took up 13 tons together. The primary weaponry consisted of a pair of Series 2B ER large lasers split between the side torsos and two Type 9 Ultra AC-5 autocannons in the left arm. And then to add missiles to injury, the last weapon was a Type X longbow long-range missile 10 rack in the center torso for general use shenanigans. Finally, a targeting computer is added to the right arm, which benefits the aim of the lasers and the Ultra autocannons. The final result for the Shrike was a mech that could do accurate and reliable damage at all ranges. The Alpha Strike at 21 hexes, with both Ultra AC-5s doing their thing, is 50 damage, which is okay. For comparison, the Turkina's Alpha Strike at 21 hexes is 70, though 40 of it is variable LRM and LB5X cluster damage, and there's a targeting computer to help score hits on the Shrike. Following its first production runs and distribution to ranking members of the Jade Falcon 2-man, the Shrike was judged to be a significant improvement over the Onager and was quickly in high demand. The mech was dangerous at all ranges, and the threat of death from above attacks and standard kick and punching attacks was always present. In 3115, a third Falcon Talon cluster landed on La Grave with intent to raid Clan Wolf supplies. The Wolf Blue Kishik defended their holdings with a significant number of Tundra Wolves on an elevated plateau. 3 Shrikes were deployed to engage at long range, pelting the Wolf mechs with autocannon, LRMs, and ER large laser fire. The Falcons had an advantage as the Wolves had not encountered the massive Shrikes before and did not adequately respond and close on them quickly. When they did finally move forward, the Shrikes were able to leap backward and keep their distance. Taking down multiple Tundra Wolves without any losses, Star Colonel Howard Malthus immediately called for a second trial over additional supplies using the same 3 Shrikes from the first trial. Piloting one of them himself, Malthus personally killed the Wolf commander in her Orion 2C, which led to a swift granting of Hegira for the beaten Wolves. When it comes to the Shrike, if you're looking at it over some of the alternatives like the Turkina, it may boil down to how much you cherish that improved mobility of the Shrike over the weapons loadout of the Turkina. Opportunity cost spares no one, not even Malvina Hazen. There are 2 official variants of the Shrike. The second variant, appropriately named the Shrike 2, was introduced in 3115, just 3 years after the original. It pulls the Ultra AC-5s from the left arm and replaces them with Ultra AC-10s. Those are paid for in weight by downgrading the ER large lasers to ER mediums. The LRM-10 in all of its chesty glory is left alone. It shifts the mech from a deadly at all ranges version to a deadlier at mid and short ranges version. The Alpha Strike potential goes up to 64 with the LRMs, but at the cost of the previously mentioned range and the additional reliance upon ammunition, which did not go over well with a lot of Falcon warriors who didn't want to have to slow and advance in order to resupply. Having only 15 shots per Ultra AC-10 is a big issue with the Shrike 2. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. However, if you're bold and want to roll the dice on a quick victory, it might be worth the risk. The Shrike 3 headed off in a completely new direction. It was first spotted in 3116, and it's a toasty one. Pulling the autocannons entirely, the Shrike 3 instead has 2 ER PPCs added to the left arm. It keeps the ER large lasers, the LRM-10, and the targeting computer. While this vastly improves the Alpha Strike capability, it does so at a tremendous amount of heat. If you fired everything, which you definitely shouldn't, the 17 laser heat sinks and the partial wing can handle 37 of the heat in a single turn. Unfortunately, that still leaves an additional 21 heat at the end of the turn. You'd better hope whatever you're shooting at is dead at that point, because the next turn you're dealing with movement and shooting modifiers as well as the possibility of ammo cooking off and the mech shutting down entirely. It's a bold and aggressive mech that fits with the Falcon's aggressive no-holds-barred fighting style. I just personally find it to be a terrible that leaves damage on the table from perpetually unfired weaponry. Now it is worth noting that the most famous Shrike, the Black Rose, piloted by Malvina Hazen, was actually a hybrid variant between the 2 and the 3. It ran with the ER PPCs in the left arm, but downgraded the ER large lasers to ER mediums, helping quite a bit with the heat issues that usually come with ER large lasers. Following the lore, it was quite successful throughout Malvina's career, where she racked up quite a body count. I do want to come up with a slightly different take on the Shrike for my Mech Frog variant, so we're going to pull the weapons from the original and create an Operation Sneaky Sneak variant with an ECM installed. In the left arm, a pair of Inner Sphere snub-nosed PPCs give the Shrike MF a powerful punch at close range. Backing them up in the mid-range are a pair of standard large pulse lasers split between the left and right torsos. An anti-missile system helps keep the mech alive until it can close in on its target, and finishing off the weaponry is a small pulse laser in the head. At 20 hexes, the large pulse lasers are going to be able to do a consistent 20 damage per turn. At 15, the Alpha Strike rises to 30 damage and it improves from there. At 9 hexes, the snub-nosed PPCs are doing their full 10 damage, so the Alpha Strike on the Shrike MF becomes 40. With the anti-missile system being the only ammo consumer, the Shrike MF can operate in the field for extended periods of time, and its command abilities will only be amplified with the ECM cover it provides. It's a solid build and uses reliable weaponry. I think it would do well. So of course, I think we need to try this out. Loading up the Mega Mech, we dropped the Shrike MF and a Shrike Standard into a match against a couple of Tundra Wolves. After hopping down the field on jump jets, which I think is the preferred mode of travel, eventually we ran into the wolves across the canyon. Shots were traded, and pretty quickly the combination of ER large lasers and large pulse lasers worked through the armor of the Tundra Wolf. The first mech went down pretty quick after a couple of lucky criticals, but the second Tundra Wolf hammered back pretty hard. It nearly disabled one of the Shrikes in a several turn back and forth slugfest. Eventually, short one arm and rapidly running out of armor, the surviving Tundra Wolf fled the battlefield. The snub-nosed PPCs and large pulse lasers performed as expected, and the Shrike 1 outperformed with the ER large lasers and Ultra AC5s, which didn't jam at all during the fight. Not too shabby. I'd say this was quite the showing. I was expecting at least a 1-1 result. Overall, the Shrike is a solid battle mech in that 90 to 100 ton category. It really boils down to taste if you want to invest that tonnage into jump jets and that partial wing. The mech has character, an interesting loadout, and is a survivor on the battlefield. What more could you ask for? Thanks as always for coming by today as we talk BattleTech. If you felt it was worthwhile, hitting the various buttons provide some happy brain chemicals for your favorite mechanical frog. Going the extra step and becoming a channel member is even more impactful. You can even come join us on the Discord where we talk mechs, painting, video games, and copy-paste memes like they're going out of style. Oh, and I am working on the next piece of fiction for the channel. It should be ready next week, along with a piece of commissioned art to go along with it. Until we meet again, take care and go make the world a slightly better place today and tomorrow.